Hi, my name is Victoria Boyer. I'm from Liberty University, class HSCO 508. I'm here today to present my interpersonal communication project. Now let's get started. To first start, I want to first define interpersonal communication. Stewart defines interpersonal communication as the type of kind of communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen. Talk and listen. Now, in his definition, he's not saying that it's only two people. It can be more than two people. They do not have to be face to face. In fact, it could be a letter, an email, or a text. The key in this definition is there is a speaker and a listener. Another main point of interpersonal communication is that the communicators are both talking and listening. They send and receive and give clues and exhale and inhale. So they are talking and they're listening as well. So to have an overarch goal for me to become an skillful interpersonal communicator is that I need to build my interpersonal communication by becoming an effective listener. To become an effective listener, James 1:19, he says, "My brother and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Bertley Allen, she notes, becoming an effective listener is a way to reduce stress, tension, and it builds teamwork, trust, and a sense of belonging to a group. As a leader, it's important to make sure that you have reduced stress from your activities with the group or your activities with dealing with people. You don't want to implement tension or stress. Now, as I began to look at my interpersonal communication, our class was taught to take two different tests, one from Uniquely You and the other one from Queendom. So in my Uniquely You, my behavior blend shows that I am a sturdy specialist, which is an S, showing that I'm a passionate, people-oriented. This is what people expect of me. But in the other side, it shows this is me. I'm competitive, influencing, specialist, meaning that I am a passionate, task-oriented. I am an active, people-oriented, and I'm passionate, people-oriented. I will accept I am very much so a people-oriented. But this blend, as you analyze this blend, you would see that I'm very sensitive. I'm submissive, loyal, friendly, and I've served humanity. I have an humble spirit. I'm well liked, not overbearing or confrontational. I'm easygoing. And then in my Queendom test, I rated 78 out of 100, which means that I am a good communicator. But as always, you can be better. So I looked at the blend and then I put together my background history. I am an Afro-American woman with a native Indian. I'm the middle of 3 children. I'm divorced. And I have 2 children myself. In my positive influences, there is a lot of respect, people love, work missions, and hard working. But there is a negative influence in there that can hurt, which is confrontational and controlling. Those two on my mother's side of the family, which I kind of back away from a lot. But I do have some communication barriers. Number one is I don't always divide my message from a meta message. A meta message can cause a great degree of hurt and can cause a sense of unworthiness. What I found, I don't separate them. Therefore, I'm not always clear when I'm responding to people. It can cause a lot of problems with that. And my second barrier that I've realized that I'm having problems with is that coping with communication walls. And those walls are deception and betrayal. Once you have deceived me, or I have a sense of betrayal that has come up against me, I place a wall up, and this can hurt the communications, especially since I deal strictly with a lot of people in my job. I deal with people a whole lot. So how do I come up against these barriers? Well, number one is that I must separate, of course, my message from meta message so that I'm able to see which one I am reacting to before I speak. And then my second one is that when you have problems with deception or betrayal, a lot of things is that you've got to learn how to forgive and be able to forget. That comes strictly from God, because people have a difficult problem with forgetting and forget. So those are things that must come from God. In my resource, as I was looking through my resource, I noticed that Stewart note that meta message speak louder than messages. So that can help me a lot. I can pick up in between and realize that the meta message is the one that's speaking so loud than the message is. And I can divide it by learning that a meta message talks about relationships. So that can help me a lot as well. As well as my research in coping with communicational walls, Stewart also said deception and betrayal are closely related, but the difference is betrayal violates. It has consequences. It causes relationship termination. So I can realize, the difference between that, and those things can help me, even with my strategies on how to deal with meta messages. I can realize they are often negative in the family, and that will help me with that. In my strategy in betrayal, I can realize that it does include lies and deception, and I can kind of just wait for the Lord to help me in that predicament, because those are things that when you're dealing with betrayal and deceit, as a person, I notice that is one of my hardest things to deal with, and I just have a problem with it. As far as strategies on betrayal, I've learned just reading some of Pittman and Wagner. He says that 90% of social clinic experiences, so you will see betrayal dealing mostly in clinics. So it is one of those things that is harder to deal with on your own. So without the help of God or the help of a counselor, betrayal is one of those that would be more difficult to deal with, and even in a strategy situation, as well as deception. But I do have an action plan that would be able to help me. I'm going to acknowledge that listening is an important quality of communication. Listening is active and understand the uniqueness of an individual instead of just looking at them and not stereotyping them. And most of all, I'm going to have to pray without cease. Now, in the end, I just want to leave a little quote with you from Wagner, The Human Use of Human Beings. He states that speech is a joint game between the talker and the listener against the force of confusion. Unless both make the effort, interpersonal communication is quite hopeless. Once again, my name is Victoria Boyer. I do thank you for listening to my interpersonal communication project. And I ask that God will continue to bless each of you. Thank you.